Namaste yogis, welcome to your practice. So today we are going to do some preparation for wheel pose or Dhanurasana. Now the only props that you may need or that you may like to use is 2 blocks if you have a skirting board that you can work with. So I suggest, if you haven't tried wheel pose before, or if you're working on wheel pose but can't quite get there yet, if you've got some blocks, take your mat to somewhere that's got a skirting board. And I'll show you why in a little while. First, we're going to prepare our bodies for our wheel pose. So we'll just come into a comfortable seat, just closing down the eyes. Taking a few nice deep breaths in and out through the nose. Letting go of any thoughts, any distractions, anything that might be holding you back. Letting go especially of any thoughts that might be self-destructive here. Any self-doubt, any of the, oh, I can't do that, I don't even know what wheel pose is, I can't get into wheel pose. If you leave all of that rubbish, all of that garbage, all of those stories in another room, outside your front door, in the next town, wherever, just put those thoughts somewhere else. They do not belong in your head on your mat. Because I tell you what, you can do it. You may not get to it today, but if you keep practicing, you can get there. So, opening up the eyes, place the hands down on the knees. We're going to do a few seated cat-cows. So as you inhale, bring the crown of the head forward, lean the chest forward, and open up your heart, lift the crown of the head. As you exhale, draw the chin in towards the chest, open the back, and reach back. Inhale forwards, exhale back. 2 more, inhale, and exhale. Last one. Okay, now coming into your tabletop, stacking the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Engaging Hasta Bandha, your hand lock, plugging down through the thumb, index finger and pinky finger, and gently pressing down through the middle finger and ring finger. Push the mat away. Engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor, engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine, and gently bring the body weight forward over the wrists. Take the big toes together, knees out wide, and as you exhale, come back to child's pose. Inhale up. Exhale down. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Hold here in your child's pose for a moment. Really pressing the hands down into the mat. Feel that nice opening, that wrapping of the shoulders and the armpits. We're really going to wake up through the upper body in this practice here. So we can use our upper body strength, our core strength, and the strength of our legs to get us up into our wheel pose. Wheel pose is one of my favourite poses. It's a really nice heart opener and a back bend, and it just makes you feel really, really good after you've done a nice wheel pose. I'd really like to share that feeling with you guys. forward into your tabletop. Step the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Engage Hasta Bandha, your hand lock. Engage Mula Bandha, pelvic floor. Engage Uddiyana Bandha, navel to spine. Tuck the toes and press back to your downward facing dog, pedaling out. And coming into stillness, we're going to come through some tiger curls here. So we're going to lift the right leg to the sky for three-legged dog. Bend the knee and bring it over to the right elbow. Press back, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, bring it to the left elbow. Press back, three-legged dog. Right elbow. Three-legged dog. Left elbow. Three-legged dog. Right elbow. Three-legged dog. Return the foot to the mat. Hover forward into your plank. And take your Chaturanga Dandasana. Then release to the mat. Take a mini cobra. Exhale to release. This time taking cobra if it's there for you. Pressing down into the hands. Elbows hug in towards the body. And release. We'll take two more cobras. Inhale. Exhale to release. Last one, inhaling up and hold here. Continue to breathe. And just feel that openness through the chest and that rounding of the spine. If this is too much for you in the lower back, if you're feeling like there's just too much spinal compression for you, just come on down and take a few more rounds of mini cobra. You want to gently waken up the spine. And release all the way down. Elbows hug in towards the body. We're going to take two more rounds of cobra. Inhale to rise. Hold here for 2 breaths. And release on your exhale. Elbows hug in. Inhale for the last round, cobra. One more breath here. And release all the way to the mat. Tuck the toes and press back to your downward facing dog. You might like to pedal out here in your downward dog. Release the knees to the mat. Big toes together, knees out wide, and press back to child's pose. Just resting for 2 more breaths here. And returning to your tabletop. Shoulders stacked over the wrists, Hasta Bandha engaged, Mula Bandha engaged, Uddiyana Bandha engaged. Tuck the toes, press back, downward facing dog. This time lift the left leg to the sky for 3-legged dog. Bend the knee, curl it in towards the left elbow. Press back, 3-legged dog. Right elbow. 3-legged dog. Left elbow. 3-legged dog. Right elbow. 3-legged dog. Left elbow. 3-legged dog. Right elbow. 3-legged dog. Turn to your downward dog and hover the body weight forward into your high plank. Take your Chaturanga Dandasana and release. 3 rounds of cobra, 1 breath, 1 movement. Inhale to rise. Exhale to release. You might like to take your hands out a little wider here. Something a little bit different. Inhale to rise. You might feel the shoulder blades peeling in towards each other a little more. Exhale to release. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Release the hands to the mat. Preparing for locust pose. So pressing the pelvis and the hip bones down into the mat. Engage the glutes. Engage the thighs. Engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor. Engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. Pressing down into the hands and the tops of the feet. As you inhale, rise up, allowing the chest to lift up off the mat. Don't forget to breathe here. You've got the option to lift the feet and or the hands up off the mat. Again, if this is too much in your lower back, just release the feet or the hands or both down to the mat. We'll be here for 5 more breaths. Once you've taken your 5 breaths, just releasing mindfully all the way down to the mat. Resting one cheek down on the mat. And bring the chin back to the mat. Option to take your locust pose again, or if you would like to give floor bow a go, bending the knees, so pressing the hip bones and the pelvis down into the mat, and taking the hands to the outside edges of the ankles or the feet. Feet are to remain hip width distance apart, knees are to remain hip width distance apart. Pressing the hip bones and the pelvis down into the mat. Engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor. Engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. Press the feet into the hands and the hands into the feet. And gently lift up. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. And then gently release down to the mat. Taking one cheek down to the mat. Preparing now for your chest opening shoulder stretch. So we're going to take the left arm out at shoulder height. Take the right hand into the rib cage, thumb hugs into the ribs, and we're up on the fingertips as if you're holding a cupcake underneath the hand. We're going to take the left cheek to the mat and lift the right leg up and peel open. If you'd like a little bit more of a stretch here, pressing into the fingertips of the right hand. So you feel the shoulder blades peeling towards each other, cracking open that chest. If you'd still like a little more, you can bend through the right knee and take the toes around behind you. Remembering here that we're looking for a nice chest opening stretch. So the stretch should be felt in your left chest and the left shoulder, rather than a spinal twist. Stay for 2 more breaths here. back down. Switching over to the other side, right arm comes out at shoulder height. Right cheek comes to the mat. Left hand hugs into the rib cage, thumb hugs into the ribs, up on the fingertips of the left hand. Elbow hugs into the body. Lift that left leg up off the mat and peel the chest open. Again, option to press into the fingertips of the left hand for a little bit more of a stretch. And if you need to, you can bend through that left knee and take the toes around behind you. Just feeling that beautiful open stretch of the right chest and the right shoulder. Stay for 2 more breaths here. And then slowly release all the way down to the mat. Just allow yourself to rest here for 2 breaths. And then turning over onto your back. We're going to prepare for our bridge pose here. So coming onto the feet, walking the heels in a little closer towards the buttocks. Feet and knees are hip width distance apart. Now if you find that your bridge pose is not a particularly strong one, or if you feel you need to work more in the legs, grab one of your blocks and place your block between the thighs, squeezing onto the block. So this just reminds you to keep your thighs, your inner thighs and your glutes switched on. So pressing down into the feet, engage the thighs, engage the glutes, engage Mulabandha pelvic floor, engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. Press the palms of the hands down into the mat, relax completely through the head, neck and shoulders. And as you inhale, lift the hips towards the ceiling. You're going to stay here for 5 breaths. So just allow your head and your neck to remain completely still here. And on your next exhale, slowly lower 1 vertebra at a time all the way down to the mat. Release the block from between the knees. Hug the knees in together and walk the feet out nice and wide, maybe as wide as your mat or a little wider, to feel a nice stretch through the groin and the outside of the thigh, the ITB. Stay for 2 more breaths here. And gently walk the feet in together. Take the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to flop out to the sides for Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly. And bringing the knees together, taking the feet back to the mat, hip width distance apart. We're going to walk the feet out a little wider now, maybe as wide as your mat, and allow the knees to collapse over to the right. We're going to windscreen wiper the legs now, swaying from side to side. So now we've stretched out our legs, our core abdominal muscles, our chest, and our arms. So now we're ready to give wheel pose a go. Now there's a few different variations that you can try, a few modifications. If you have a spare person hanging around, what you can do is you can hold on to their ankles. This is probably the easiest way to get into wheel pose. If you have an assistant, you can get the assistant to stand with their toes just underneath your shoulders. Get them to prepare, so get yourself to prepare for bridge pose. So feet hip width distance apart, heels in nice and close towards the buttocks. Engage the thighs, engage the glutes, engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor, engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. Now taking your wrists or your hands around your friend's ankles, lining your elbows up with their knees or lining their knees up with your elbows, more importantly. So your elbows should be hugging in rather than chicken winging out. We don't want chicken wings, they're no good for anyone. Unless you're eating them and you like chicken wings. Alright, so pressing your hands into the ankles, press the forearms into the shins, lift up into your bridge pose, then come up onto the head, pressing into the ankles, and that's how you come up into your wheel pose. Now if you've got an assistant, they can come and bring their hands around your back, give you a little hug, a bit of support, and whenever you're ready, slowly lower down, first onto the head, and then relax down into your bridge, release all the way down. Good. Thanks for your help, Riley. Now the next way you can get into your bridge or your wheel pose is with your blocks and a skirting board. Now the thicker your skirting board is, the easier this is going to be. Now I know we don't all have the luxury of different thicknesses of skirting boards, so you've basically got to work with what you've got. I've got a really skinny skirting board, so sometimes these can be a little problematic. But what you do is you grab your blocks long ways, so the shortest edge comes up onto your skirting board, so you're creating a little ramp. And what you want to do here is bring them in nice and close and place your head in between your two blocks. And you want your blocks to be nice and close to your head. And mine are falling off already. So I'm going to line them up on your skirting board, nice and close. So your shoulders are pretty much touching the base of your blocks. So you line yourself up as if you're in bridge pose again, feet hip width distance apart, heels in nice and close towards the buttocks. Engage the thighs, engage the glutes, engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor, engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. Now, we take the hands, so the back of the wrist and the palm of the hand is what is coming up onto your block. So your fingers are going to wrap around the base of the block, and the palm of the hand is going to be on the top of the block. So you should be feeling your fingers and your knuckles are pressing up against your shoulders. Now we press up into our bridge pose. Everything's engaged here, thighs, glutes, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Then we press into the hands, so we come up onto the crown of the head.
And if this is what your wheel pose looks like for the moment, that's totally fine. You don't need to come up any higher than that if this is your first go. Elbows hug in towards each other. Press into the hands. And lift yourself up. And when you need to come down, slowly start to bend the elbows. Come down onto the crown of the head. And bend the knees. And release all the way down. Now, I don't suggest that you get straight up after doing wheel pose because you've had a lot of blood rushing to the head. So just take a moment to just lay on your mat. Come back to your breath. And observe any parts of the body that might be feeling a little bit weird. If something doesn't feel right in your body, it's when you stop, and I want you to get in contact and let me know what's not feeling right. If it's the knees, if it's the wrists, if it's the back, whatever it is, let me know so that I can help you through it. Or maybe this pose is not for you at the moment. So if you want to try that again, or if you want to come into your wheel with the blocks, just make sure your hair is out of the way. I highly recommend not having a ponytail up nice and high for this pose because it can be quite aggravating when you come onto the crown of the head at first. So actually having your hair out can be the best way to do this. However, it can still get stuck underneath your blocks or underneath your friend or underneath your own hands. So coming into our wheel again, practicing our wheel again. Feet hip width distance apart, heels in nice and close towards the buttocks. Fingers wrapping around your blocks. Palms of the hands pressing down into the blocks. Engage the thighs, engage the glutes, engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor, engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. Lift the hips in your bridge pose. Now if this is as far as you're going right now, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. That's why we call it yoga practice, not yoga perfect. So just hold here for a moment and then press into the hands coming onto the crown of the head. And you can walk your feet in or out as you need to. Just keep the knees and the ankles aligned with each other. Now, pressing into the crown of the head, press into the hands and lift up. Relax the head, relax the neck. And then to come down, bend the elbows, come down onto the crown of the head, bend the knees, and release to the mat. Now you can pause and rewind the video as many times as you need to watch. If you haven't quite gotten there yet, if you haven't quite gotten your head around it yet, just keep going back, rewatching. Now, before we take full wheel, you're going to bring the soles of the feet together, knees out wide for Supta Baddha Konasana. Now bring the soles of the feet back to the mat, walk the feet out nice and wide, and windscreen wiper the knees from side to side. And coming back into stillness, and hug the knees into the chest and rock from side to side. Now if there's any other poses that you feel your body needs before you come into full wheel, here's your opportunity. I personally just need to give my legs a bit of a shake out. I've got a bit of a dodgy knee, so sometimes it doesn't like wheel pose. Alrighty, and preparing for our full wheel. Bringing the feet hip-width distance apart, heels in close towards the buttocks, knees and ankles and hips aligned. Engage the thighs, engage the glutes, engage Mula Bandha pelvic floor, engage Uddiyana Bandha navel to spine. We're going to take the hands now with the fingertips just underneath the shoulders, or just touching the shoulders. Make sure you're not on your hair. Elbows hug in towards the body here. So we don't want chicken wings, because you'll notice as soon as your elbows splay out, what's happened to your thumbs? They're not pressing down. So ideally we want Hasta Bandha. We want our hand lock in our wheel pose. So we want to really press down through the index finger and thumb, and that little portion of skin between the index finger and thumb. And as soon as our elbows splay out, that's the part that lifts off. And that's the important part that we want plugging down. So place your hands down so that they can plug in. Engage, lift up to your bridge, press into the hands, come on to the crown of the head. Adjust your hands and your feet as you need to. Remember, elbows hugging in. And then press into the hands and lift up for wheel. And slowly coming down onto the crown of the head. Bend the knees. And slide all the way down. Release the legs to the mat and give the legs a bit of a shake out. We're going to hug the knees into the chest and rock from side to side. You might like to take happy baby here with the arms between the knees, the hands to the outside edges of the feet, rocking from side to side. It's nice to give the spine a little bit of a massage after wheel pose. After it's been really crunched up together, we want to give it a bit of a rub, bit of love. And whenever you're ready, you can release the legs down to the mat. We're not quite coming into Shavasana just yet. I'm going to take the arms out in front, and we're going to flex the fingers back towards the face, and then palms press away. So we're just going to gently flex and extend our wrists and our fingers. Now we're going to do some rotations. Rotating one way and then the other. You clasp the hands together and make some figure eights. You go the other way. And spreading the fingers wide. and closing, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. Going a little faster now. Speeding right up, going as fast as you can. And shake it out. And then whenever you're ready, just releasing all the way down to the mat. Relaxing completely. Letting go of any tension. Letting go of any thoughts. Allowing the whole body to relax. Just observing any tightness, any tension in the body. Letting it go. Finding softness. Focusing on your breath. And letting go of everything else. Staying here in your Shavasana for at least 5 to 10 minutes. If you can spare a little longer, please do. Thank you for joining me on the mat today. I'll see you again tomorrow. Namaste, yogis.